Hey, y'all. I am excited to be here and part of this event. Um, I hope my English comes across very well enough for your non English speaking folks. I'm from the South, as I mentioned before, so my accent is a little more Southern, and maybe I speak a little bit slower, or, um, yeah, I speak fluent redneck, as I tell folks. Anyhow, this is public speaking without barfing on your shoes. And let me just go ahead and tell you, don't wear shoes. Problem solved. All right, let's move on. Um, I submit to you that there are three inevitable things in life. There's death, taxes, and PowerPoint. Sooner or later, it's going to happen. You're going to be speaking to a group of people. It could be your team, your company, a meetup, a conference. You're going to have to stand in front of a group of people. Some of them may be complete strangers, and present some information. About 10 years ago, I finally got up the courage to give my first talk at a meetup. I stank. I was terrible. I did not do a very good job when I first started giving presentations. But a funny thing happened. I had people thank me for sharing. I had people tell me that I did a good job, even though I was sure that I was the worst speaker in speaker history. It took a while for it to sink in, but I learned a valuable lesson about the power of community. There are people out there who are really awesome at being human. People who will look past your mistakes, who will see the good and potential that you have, and encourage you to do those hard things, like give a talk in public. They will encourage you to not give up, because when you do these kind of hard things and you share your knowledge and your experiences, everyone benefits. Every day, I hope I'm like one of those people, that I am encouraging and getting others to do these kinds of things. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm giving this talk. I want to encourage you to try this public speaking. Here's one of my favorite quotes. When I gave my first talk, people didn't remember that I fumbled around and I did not do a good job with my demos, and I had a lot of mistakes. They remember me. They remembered that even in some small way, I helped them with their career or to learn a new technology. A few years ago, I had the privilege of giving a keynote at Music City Code in Nashville, Tennessee, home of country music. This is where I used to live. And I shared the same story about how I got started, and I had more than one person come up to me afterwards and say, I was there. I remember when you gave your first talk. And you're right. You were terrible. Oh, well, thanks. That's really encouraging. Well, I believe that you can learn to be a speaker. It's a skill that anyone can learn. If I can do this, a painfully shy introvert, socially awkward, all those things. I know you can do this too. So if you're going to be a speaker, I want to share with you some certain, essentials to what it means to be a good speaker. There's certain things that an audience expects from you when you give a presentation. One is they hope to be entertained. No one likes to suffer through a boring, dry talk, right? You want to enjoy the the talk that you're listening to or watching. Your audience is going to want you to be authentic. They don't want to feel like you're trying to sell something to them, right? You want to be a speaker who genuinely cares about the information that you're giving. You genuinely care about helping others by sharing your knowledge and your experiences. Of those two things, an audience does not want to be to have their time wasted. So they're going to expect that you have done your research, that you're well prepared, and that you have thought through the message and the delivery of what you're presenting. Obviously, an audience wants to learn. Sometimes they have very specific needs, things that they come to your talk hoping that they can learn from you. Most of all, they want insights. They want to know the secrets that you've learned on your journey. Just like you may be here listening to me, watching me, wanting to know what are the secrets to public speaking. So here's what I'm going to do. Each time you see this treasure chest symbol in the corner, I'm going to tell you something that I believe will be of great value to you. So the first secret that I want to give you is you don't have to be an expert to be a speaker. This is one of those fears that so many people have, is that, I don't know everything. And I may not provide all the right information, or someone may think I'm a fraud, or there are lots of people who know more about this subject than I do. That doesn't matter. You don't have to be an expert. In fact, you have something that no one else in the entire world has, and that is your experience. People can argue semantics and best practices and technology, whatever, all day long, but they can't argue with your experience. So here are some essential ingredients to giving a tech talk. Now, most of you who are, I'm assuming most of you who are watching this are probably, if you're interested in public speaking, it's going to be around some kind of technology. So the first question that the audience wants to hear answered is why? What was your motivation for getting into the subject of what you're talking about? Well, what's your story? What problems were you trying to solve? And the reasons for this technology and your story and the problems that you faced will probably resonate with others, with your audience. Your personal story is what hooks your audience. They want to hear more. How did you resolve it? How did you get through the issues that you were having? And then you can answer the what. Features and highlights, capabilities, benefits. You can start to fill in some gaps for your audience to help convince them why they should be also considering this subject or topic or technology that you're talking about. Then you can explain how. You can give your audience more of your story, and they want to hear about the challenges and the issues that you faced along the way, including the mistakes that you made. What? No way. I feel like an imposter. Why would I admit that I have made these mistakes? Well, it may seem counterintuitive, but your mistakes and what you learn from them adds to your credibility as a speaker. I don't know about you, but I want to hear from real people who are doing real work that I can relate to. So a great question to answer for your audience is, what would you do differently? If you could start all over again, what would you do differently now that you know these lessons from your mistakes? You can turn your mistakes into key takeaways, the things that people are the most interested in hearing from your talk. And then finally, you want to end your talk with, well, where can I go? Where can your audience go for more information and that will put them on the fast track to getting up to speed and to becoming experts themselves? As you may have guessed by now, I am a big believer in visual storytelling. I believe that visual storytelling is engaging, it's entertaining, it's unique. Bullet points and clip art and stock photos and those kinds of things will never be able to tell your story quite like using illustrations that you create for yourself. This is my secret weapon. This is what allows me to tell my story the way that I want to, and to add my humor and my personality to the talks that I give. Our brains love to be surprised. If you're going to give a talk, I really encourage you to try using some hand-drawn illustrations as part of your talk. It becomes like brain candy to others. Now, I know what you're thinking. I can't draw, right? That's great for you, Mr. Neal, but I don't have that talent. I can't draw. Yes, you can. And let me show you. So if you can draw things like shapes, lines and arrows, maybe some blobs and letters and numbers and those kinds of things, with those basic fundamental shapes, you can draw way more than you may realize. You can start to add stick figures, and you can express so many things with stick figures. All of my talks have included stick figures of some kind, and they're not that hard to draw. By composing simple shapes together, you can start to express things that you may not even realize that you can express, like a city, just using blocks, or something that may be as complex as a bicycle. Now, is this the most realistic looking bicycle you've ever seen? No. But did you recognize what it was? Sure. It doesn't have to be art. Anything that you create, no matter how bad you may think it is super engaging, and your audience will love it. I promise. If you can draw a blob, you can draw the most, popular thing in technology right now, the cloud. Or the second most popular thing in technology right now, a pile of JavaScript. Wah, wah, wah. Sorry, I'm a JavaScript developer. I like to take shots at JavaScript sometimes. So you know how that it's effective when you take notes, right? That you can go back and look at your notes and somehow recall a lot more information than what you wrote in your notes. There's something about the physical act of note taking that connects our memories and our thoughts and our things that we're learning to what's on the page. And when you draw illustrations what I found was when I was drawing illustrations for the talks that I give, I'm thinking about all these things that I want to say. And as soon as that picture comes up on the screen, my brain knows exactly what I wanted to say about that topic. So I don't have to use notes anymore. I don't have to memorize anything. I can just speak freely about the things that the points that I want to make. It helps you to remember what you want to talk about. Okay, enough about that. This is one of the books that I recommend. If you're still not convinced about the power of hand-drawn illustrations and you're not convinced that you can draw, then I encourage you to pick up a copy of this book, Show and Tell by Dan Roam. It's about having extraordinary presentations. And it's one of the key books in my collection. And I've got a number of other books and resources and things that I'll point you to at the end of the talk. There is no substitute for practice. When you can, as you're developing your talk, if you can rehearse it, if you can, subject your talk to friends and family or even your pets or stuffed animals, anything. There's just no substitute for practice and rehearsing. It helps you to organize your thoughts, how to say difficult phrases, how to rehearse transitions between one slide to the next. And here's another, it's kind of cliche, right? You've heard this before. Recording yourself, yeah, it is painful. I hate to hear my own voice when I hear myself in a recording, audio or video. But there is nothing that I have ever done that has been more beneficial or helpful in me improving to be a better speaker than to listen to previous recordings of the talks that I've given. It's helped me so much in structuring my ideas and finding better ways of presenting information. Video is fantastic if you can do that. Another tip I have is that if you can find someone to be a mentor who is already good at public speaking, or a group of people who will help you with the talks that you're doing, who will listen to your talk and give you feedback on what you can do to improve. This is really, really awesome. This is something that I wish I had done when I first started speaking, but I didn't have the courage to do it. I want you to have the courage to be able to ask someone, hey, can you, can I give my presentation to you and so you can give me feedback on how I can improve? It's amazing. Another tip, make yourself a checklist of all the things that you need, all the things that you need to do before you get to your presentation, all the things that you need to do once you arrive at your presentation. Print it out. Take it with you. There are a couple of good checklists I have among the resources that I provide you at the end. Every speaker gets nervous. And I get nervous every single time. I've given hundreds of talks, and I still get nervous before I go on stage or get in front of a camera. It's just part of the deal. But once you start talking, This is where your rehearsing and preparation is going to really pay off. You're going to, the more preparation that you do, the better your talk is going to go. Things go wrong. You could have a death grip on the podium. You could be pacing back and forth. You could be speaking in a monotone voice and not very, engaging. You could speak too fast. Sometimes words don't come out right. Sometimes you may not know what to do with your hands. And then, there's the classic things like uhs and ums and other fillers. But here's the secret. Here's the secret that no one tells you. That none of these public speaking courses are telling folks, is that your audience is very forgiving. It's okay to make these mistakes. Your audience wants you to succeed. They're there to learn something from you. As long as they're learning, you can make all kinds of mistakes, and it's perfectly okay. You will get better with practice and with time. Don't worry. Giving a virtual talk in today's, the environment can be challenging. You're not in front of an audience. You're not getting to make eye contact with people. So it can be helpful to put some googly eyes on your webcam so that to look at the camera so that the audience watching, feels like you're making eye contact with them. Good lighting is great if you can do that. Audio is probably the most important thing. If you can have good audio, that will triumph over any kind of bad video. If you can upgrade your video, have a nicer camera, that'll be great too. Don't forget the googly eyes. And I recommend that you stand. There's just something about the energy that you have when you're presenting if you're standing over sitting. I have some opinions on demos. In a nutshell, I recommend that if you have a demo in your application, that you either pre-record it or that your demo be focused on the why, not on the how. People can go find Google or Stack Overflow and figure out how. Your demo should demonstrate why people should be interested in the technology that you're showing. I have one more tip, and that is a gift. If there's one thing I want you to remember, it's what I'm about to tell you. We are the only creatures on our earth who are capable of understanding things like good and mercy and forgiveness and grace. Your words are powerful. Your words have the power to destroy or to give life. You have this amazing ability and privilege to speak life into those around you, your family, your coworkers, and strangers you meet at conferences and events. Like it or not, we are relational beings, and we are designed to live in community. People will know you by the way you show love. You never know if something you share could be a catalyst that inspires someone else on their lifelong journey. So whether you're standing on a stage or you're sitting at a conference table or behind a camera, sitting around a dinner table with friends or family, I believe you have an incredible opportunity to impact the people around you, sharing your stories and experiences. Go be courageous. Go inspire others. Go and be awesome. Thank you.